With us now, Democratic Congressman Jimmy Panetta of California, member of the House Budget, Ways and Means Committees, who voted against the funding bill. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Am I wrong that you all are doing exactly what Republicans have done in the past?
No, in the sense that, look, I think what Republicans were able to do in the past is what they should be doing now. That's negotiating. I've been in Congress just over 8 years.
Yeah.
During this time, I've had 29 continuing resolutions, if you can believe that. Now,
Right.
I'm not proud that I've been a part of 29 continuing resolutions where we can't get a budget and we have to kick it down the road with a CR. However, I am proud that each of those CRs were negotiated. And that's exactly what we should be doing now.
Hold on, but Congressman, there's also been a number of CRs that were what they call clean. We're just going to keep funding things at the levels they are at. And in the past, Democratic presidents have been very angry and said, absolutely not, when Republicans tried to do the same thing Democrats are doing now. Take a listen. Hold on, take a listen.
This is only going to happen when Republicans realize they don't get to hold the entire economy hostage over ideological demands.
But folks, the truth is we shouldn't be here in the first place. We shouldn't have gotten here in the first place. But the last few days and weeks, extreme MAGA Republicans tried to walk away from that deal.
So why is it bad when Republicans hold the government hostage, but okay when Democrats do it?
Look, there were clean CRs, but they had negotiations before those CRs. They were actually talking, and that's not what happened. It's not what happened in the House of Representatives when they barely passed this CR. It's not what is happening right now, where in the Senate, as you know, they got to get to 60 votes. They need 7 Democrats. They don't have that number. Therefore, Republicans who are in charge of the House, who are in charge of the Senate, and a Republican in the White House, they should be negotiating. And they refuse to do that.
Right, and they refuse to do that because they say we're not going to negotiate being held hostage, which is exactly what Barack Obama said, and it's exactly what Joe Biden said. So why is it wrong when Donald Trump does it?
Once again, there were negotiations to get to those clean CRs, as well as the fact that now...
It wasn't about the debt ceiling. It wasn't about the debt ceiling with Biden.
Now it's also different. Just like what Senate Minority Leader Schumer is saying, it's different now in the sense that the OBBB has passed and signed into law, as you heard Senator Mullen talk about. He calls it waste, fraud, and abuse. That's actually a misnomer because it's actually going to be cutting health care from
I'm glad you brought that up.
4 million people.
That's been the issue. One of the issues Republicans claim that Democrats are holding all this up so that illegal aliens get health care. And I know you don't agree with that. And in fact, Democrats have said that's wrong. Ro Khanna, also Congressman of California, seemed to admit that it's exactly true and that illegal aliens are getting health care. Take a listen.
In terms of health care, the reality is they're just not being honest. The amount of money that actually is going towards people who are undocumented is such a small portion of the Medicaid cuts or the Affordable Care Act.
So let me just ask, is it a small portion of money that goes to health care for illegal aliens or no money?
Let me explain. And let me explain. You asked me a question. Let me answer it fully. Under the ACA, illegal immigrants are not allowed to have health care, government-sponsored health care. That's in the law. Under Medicaid, individuals, adults, are not allowed to have Medicare who are here in an undocumented status. However, there are certain state programs, like California, that if you're undocumented and you go into the emergency room and you don't have insurance, the emergency room, the hospital, gets reimbursed through Medi-Cal. If you're a child and you don't have health insurance and you need to go and see a doctor, you can use Medicaid. And if you're a pregnant mother, you can use Medicaid as well.
Democrats, just in the interest of telling the truth, admit that, yes, they're trying to make it so that there is federal money that will go to people who are here illegally. No. Because that's just the facts. You just explained that it was.
In regards to a certain very small percentage. But look, right now,
you're saying it's not true.
Our pushback is that the Americans are losing health care coverage because of the OBBB. Over 14 million people are going to get kicked off their health insurance because of the Medicaid cuts that the Republicans put in place through the reconciliation package. 4 million because they're going to lose it for these changes to the ACA, and 20 million people are going to see their prices raised by twice the amount when it comes to the ACA tax credits.
We're not much in Washington, but whenever you're talking in acronyms, I feel like it's not exactly a winning proposition, but I'll let you decide. This is from the Washington Post along those same lines. The Democratic Party shut off any potential escape valve to avoid a shutdown, which began at midnight on Tuesday. In doing so, progressives embraced the same disastrous mentality that led the House Freedom Caucus to believe it could come out ahead in a previous government funding standoffs. They wrongly assumed their political leverage would withstand the ensuing fallout. Why is the Washington Post, of all people, wrong about how Democrats just made a mistake?
Look, let me make one thing clear. Government shutdowns are bad. It's the last thing we want. We understand that because real people get hurt. Lives and livelihoods
I asked Senator
get
Mullen
hurt.
about it.
Absolutely,
Okay.
and that's the last thing we want. That's why we should be negotiating to reopen the government and protect our health care. I also think we should be negotiating when it comes to tariffs and getting rid of those because those are what people are feeling when it comes to high prices.
Again, though, you are asking Donald Trump to negotiate from a position that neither Joe Biden nor Barack Obama would negotiate from.
Look, I can't. Look, I'm speaking about what's happening now. And right
Well, so
now
what's
we're
good for the
facing.
goose shouldn't be good for the gander?
I'm just telling you right now we're facing a healthcare crisis because of the OBB. We're also, Americans are facing high prices every time they go into the grocery store, the hardware store, every time they go to
restaurants. This is a winning political hand?
Look, I think it's something that we are going to continue to fight for because there needs to be negotiations. And look, I think the American public are sick and tired of this blame game and going back and forth. That's why there needs to be negotiations, just like there were 29 times since I've been in Congress to get a continuing resolution. And that's what Republicans and Democrats need to do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
We
sir.
appreciate it. And you got it in under the time limit. We appreciate it.